The sky above planet Zeros was burning. Smoke rose from the capital city as enemy ships hovered like vultures. The Veltrax had returned, more powerful than ever. Their black warships rained fire down on buildings, crushing resistance and tearing through defense lines. People screamed, running through the streets, trying to find shelter, but there was nowhere left to hide. On a high ridge near the city's edge, Commander Ray watched through binoculars. She was human, sent from Earth years, ago to help train the Zerian defense. She had never seen destruction like this, not even during Earth's worst wars. Her jaw tightened as she lowered the device and turned to the small group behind her. "We have maybe 12 hours before they take the capital completely," Ray said, voice calm but sharp. "If we don't hold this line, Zeros is finished." Beside her stood General Tarlek, the Zerian leader. His skin was deep blue, his eyes narrow and tired. "We have only 3 ships left. Ground troops are tired. Our cities fall one by one. Earth promised help. But where is it?" Ray didn't answer right away. She looked up. The sky was dark, filled with the shadows of enemy ships. Somewhere beyond that, Earth was watching. She hoped. She believed. But she wasn't sure anymore. "They'll come," Ray said finally. "They have to." But even she wasn't sure if that was true. In the command center under the hill, young Zerian officers worked without rest. Radar screens flickered. Communications were full of static. The last message they had sent to Earth was 5 days ago. No reply. No sign. Just silence. "They've left us," one soldier said quietly. "No," said another. "Humans never leave their allies." But fear was growing. Outside, the last defense batteries fired at the sky. A Veltrax cruiser exploded in flames. The soldiers below cheered, but the joy didn't last. 3 more enemy ships replaced it, firing heavy plasma. Blasts that turned buildings into ash. Ray returned to the surface and stared at the sky again. She remembered Earth's wars. She had fought in 2 of them. Humanity didn't always strike first, but when they did, they hit harder than anyone. The problem was, Earth didn't move quickly. They planned, they waited, and sometimes they were too late. "I need to get to the comms tower," Ray said. Tarlek blinked. "The tower was hit. It's not safe. If there's even a chance I can reach Earth, I have to try." She grabbed her rifle, checked her sidearm, and started toward the remains of the comms tower. 2 Zerian guards followed her. As they moved through the broken streets, Ray saw the faces of civilians hiding in basements. Children huddled in corners, old ones helping the injured. These people didn't ask for war, but they were caught in it. Reaching the tower took 30 minutes. Most of it was rubble. The top half had fallen during the last bombing, but the underground chamber still had some power. She turned on the console. Lights flickered. Then, a small signal flashed green. "Nix protocol. Encrypted channel, Earth Military High Command." She pressed the button. "This is Commander Ray. Planet Zeros is falling. Veltrax forces are overwhelming. Civilians in danger. Resistance almost gone. If you can hear this, we need Earth Fleet, now." She waited. Static. Then silence. The screen stayed dark. A loud boom shook the ground. Ray stepped outside. A Veltrax lander was descending near the eastern wall of the city. Dozens of enemy. Soldiers were jumping out, marching forward in lines, crushing everything in their path. It was the final wave. Ray returned to the command center. "They're coming," she said. Everyone knew what that meant. Tarlek looked around at his tired officers, then back at Ray. "We fight?" She nodded. "We fight." All remaining soldiers were called to the walls. Civilians were moved deeper into the bunkers. The sky darkened as Veltrax warships blocked the sun. From above, the capital looked like a broken shell. Commander Ray stood on the front wall, armor dirty, rifle in hand. Around her were Xerians holding their own weapons, simple, worn, but ready. "Listen up," she said loudly. "Maybe Earth doesn't come. Maybe this is it. But if we go down, let's go down as warriors. Let them remember who stood on this line." The soldiers raised their weapons. Some shouted, some simply nodded. Veltrax's tanks rolled closer. The last defense began. Plasma. Fire lit the night. Explosions tore through buildings. Ray fired again and again, her heart pounding but her hands steady. Around her, her new family, these Xerian fighters, held the line with everything they had. Behind them, the capital city burned. In orbit, hidden behind the moon, something stirred. A small human ship, cloaked in stealth mode, recorded everything. Inside, a human officer sent a single message. Target confirmed, full fleet jump approved. The stars above Zeros were about to change, but down on the ground no one knew yet. They just fought, and hoped, and bled, waiting for Earth. The ground shook again. Another blast hit the defense wall as Commander Ray helped a wounded soldier get to cover. Smoke filled the air, and plasma bolts flew past like burning arrows. The battle for Zeros had entered its final phase, and the defenders were running out of everything: ammo, power, and time. Inside the underground command center, General Tarlek looked over the battle map. Red dots covered the screen. Veltrax's forces were pushing in from 3 sides. The last safe zones were shrinking fast. He rubbed his face and whispered, "Where is Earth?" No one answered. The communication screen still showed static. Commander Ray had tried sending 5 more messages. Different codes, different frequencies, nothing came back, not even a sound. It was like calling into a black hole. In the hallways, wounded civilians filled the corners. Some cried quietly, others stared at the ceiling, waiting for it to fall. A small girl clutched a worn-out toy and asked her mother, "Are the humans going to save us?" The mother gave a weak smile and said, "They're coming." But even she didn't believe it anymore. Back on the front line, Ray stood with her soldiers, hands black from dust and fire. Her voice was hoarse from shouting commands. She hadn't slept in 2 days. Still, she didn't stop. "We hold them back as long as we can," she told the squad. "Buy time. For what? I don't know. But we're not giving up." A soldier, young and barely trained, looked at her with wide eyes. "Do you think Earth is scared?" Ray paused. "No, not scared. Just slow." He didn't understand. Earth didn't act fast. Not anymore. After the great solar wars, humanity had become more careful. They watched. They waited. They planned. And when they did act, it was like a hammer falling from the sky. But maybe this time, they waited too long. Another explosion shook the bunker, this time closer. A technician ran in, face pale. "The east gate is gone. They're moving in fast. We can't stop them." Tarlek turned to Ray. "We need to evacuate. At least the children." "We don't have enough transports," she replied. "And even if we did, they'd be shot down before leaving orbit." There was silence. A heavy silence. Tarlek walked to the broadcast room. With tired hands, he turned on the public system and spoke into the mic. "This is General Tarlek. Citizens of Zeros, we have fought with honor. Our enemy is strong, but we are stronger in spirit. If today is our last, then let it be remembered forever. We will not beg. We will not run. We will stand." The message went out across the city, across broken streets and silent homes. Some cheered, some cried, some simply nodded, picking up anything that could be used as a weapon. In orbit, far beyond their eyes, something moved again. The cloaked human scout ship stayed quiet, watching everything. Inside, Commander Hale received another coded message. "Hold position. Earth fleet arriving in 36 minutes. No contact. Surprise must be complete." He clenched his fist. "They're dying down there." But orders were orders. Until the main fleet entered orbit. No action. No warning. Back on the surface, Ray stood on a collapsed building, watching smoke rise from the ruins. Her armor was scratched. Her face had blood and dirt. But her eyes were full of fire. She remembered the cities of Earth, New Berlin, Titan Station, Mars Colony 5. She remembered how they were attacked in the past, and how Earth rose up each time, angrier, stronger, and more united than before. "We're not done," she told her team. "Even if Earth never comes, we make them regret ever setting foot here." A new wave of Veltrax soldiers appeared on the horizon, larger this time, heavily armored. Tanks with shield drones marched slowly, protected by flying skimmers. The defenders took position, snipers on rooftops, heavy gunners behind broken walls. Even civilians holding energy pistols stood in doorways. One last time. Ray looked at the sky again. Nothing. Then something. For half a second, a strange flicker appeared near the edge of the atmosphere. Just a spark, barely noticeable. Then it vanished. She frowned. "Did anyone else see that?" "No," said her second-in-command. "See what?" "Nothing," she replied. "Maybe my mind's playing tricks." The Veltrax commander sent a wide-range broadcast across all channels. "This planet is lost. Earth has abandoned you. Lay down your weapons, and your death will be painless." Ray took the mic and replied, voice full of steel. "You're right, about one thing. Earth has been quiet. But don't confuse silence with surrender." Then she dropped the mic and raised her rifle. The final wave began. Artillery fired. Plasma swords clashed. The sky turned red as both sides collided in a storm of fire and fury. Ray moved like lightning, leading the charge, shouting orders, pulling the wounded to safety, and high above, deep in the silence of space, a massive ripple formed near the orbit, something ancient. Something powerful, something very human. But no one on the surface saw it. Not yet. They were too busy fighting to survive. Still, hoping, still waiting, still believing Earth would come. High above planet Zeros, something strange moved in the dark. Behind the moon's shadow, a small object hovered silently. No one on the planet could see it. Even Veltrax sensors didn't pick it up. It was too small, too cold, too quiet. But inside that object, something was awake. It was a probe, old, black, built for deep space stealth. It had no weapons, no voice, just one task: watch and wait. For the last 47 hours, it had been doing exactly that, recording every moment of the battle on Zeros, every scream, every explosion, every life lost. And now, it had seen enough. A single red light blinked. A signal was sent. The message was simple. Confirmation. Enemy presence verified. Emergency. Protocol. Earth fleet release authorized. Then the probe powered down and vanished into the stars. Back on the ground, no one knew. Commander Ray was fighting near the east wall. Her arms were heavy, legs sore, but her heart was still strong. Her small team had pushed back a wave of Veltrax soldiers, barely. Smoke filled the sky, and rubble covered the streets. Beside her, a Zerian soldier leaned against the wall, bleeding. "They keep coming," he said weakly. "I know," Ray answered, reloading her rifle. She glanced at the sky. Nothing. Still, silent. Still, alone. In the underground command center, General Tarlek studied the shrinking map. Only 3 zones remained under their control. The rest were lost. The enemy had set fire to the outer cities. Bodies filled the streets. The technicians tried the long-range comms again. Static. Tarlek looked at the screen, then at the people. Around him. "We must consider evacuation, even if only a few escape." One officer shook her head. "There's no way out. Every ship in orbit is enemy-controlled. Even if we lift off, they'll shoot us down." Tarlek fell silent. Suddenly, one of the consoles beeped. A technician turned to look. "Wait, I'm picking something up." Everyone froze. "Is it Earth?" someone asked quickly. No voice, just a signal. The room leaned closer. It wasn't strong, but it was real. A narrow band, encrypted burst, the kind of code used only by Earth military satellites. Not a full message, just a pulse. 1 second, then gone. "What does it mean?" Tarlek asked. The technician stared at the screen. "It means someone's out there, watching, and they just woke up. In orbit." The stars shifted. One by one, small shadows began to appear. Shapes moved like silent ghosts across space. Massive ships, larger than anything Zeros had ever seen, began exiting stealth mode. First 1, then 2, then 5. Their shapes were like flying cities, long armored hulls, massive engines, cannons the size of buildings, dozens of ships, all human. Each bore the mark of the Earth Defense Fleet. Inside the lead ship, the ESS Retribution, Admiral Rourke stood at the command deck. He was tall, gray-haired, with a deep scar across his cheek. A man who had seen too many wars. But this was personal. "Status?" he asked. "Fleet in position," replied the officer beside him. "Enemy forces unaware." "Orders?" Rourke looked at the screen. Planet Zeros burned below. He had watched for days. He had seen what the Veltrax did to Earth's allies. He had listened to every signal sent by Commander Ray. And now, Earth was ready. "Begin countdown," Rourke said coldly. 12 minutes until full reveal. No mercy." The officer nodded. Back on the surface, the sky still looked the same. Smoke, clouds, and darkness. But something had changed. "Commander." Ray received a message on her wrist pad. Just 5 words. "Eyes open. We are near." She froze. She read it again. Then again. She looked up. Still no sign of ships, but her hands trembled. "They're coming," she whispered. Her second-in-command looked over. "What did you say?" She didn't answer. Instead, she ran toward the nearest command outpost. Inside, she showed the message to Tarlek. "It's them," she said. "It's Earth." His eyes widened. "You're sure?" It's Earth's deep code format. Military only. Short, silent, but real. Tarlek looked at the map again. The Veltrax were still closing in. "We have to hold," he said. "Just a little longer." At that moment, Veltrax warships began moving faster. They had picked up something strange, too. Their sensors were confused, picking up ghost signals in orbit. Unknown shadows. The enemy commander gave the order. Destroy the last zones. Crush them before Earth responds. The final push began, but it was too late. Above the planet, the countdown ended. All at once, Earth fleet decloaked. The sky above Zeros turned white as hundreds of human warships appeared in perfect formation. Massive cannons glowed with power. Fighter squadrons launched by the hundreds, forming wings across the stars. People on the surface looked up and gasped. From children to soldiers, everyone froze. "What is that?" whispered a Zerian woman. Ray stepped forward, eyes wide, voice shaking. "That is home." Suddenly, the lead Earth ship opened a wide-channel message across all frequencies. The voice was calm, strong, human. "To all enemy forces, this is the Earth Defense Fleet. Stand down immediately or face complete destruction." Veltrax warships began to panic. Some tried to flee, others turned to fight, but the sky had changed. The signal had been sent, and Earth was here. The sky above Zeros cracked with thunder, but no rain fell. It wasn't a storm. It was war. Veltrax forces had pushed through the last defense lines. Streets burned. Buildings fell like dry leaves. Screams echoed through alleyways. What was once a proud city had become a battlefield of smoke and ruin. In the eastern sector, Commander Ray's team was almost gone. Only 7 fighters remained with her, wounded and running out of ammo. Their cover had collapsed, and the enemy was coming. Closer with every second, Ray dragged a bleeding soldier behind a wrecked vehicle. Her breath was heavy. Her arm was bruised and her rifle nearly empty. "Where's Earth?" the soldier gasped, coughing blood. "You said they were near—" Ray looked up. The sky was still dark. No ships yet. No fire from above. Just silence. She clenched her jaw. "They're coming. I know they are." But inside, something cold was growing. What if they were too late? In the underground command center, General Tarlek watched the screen. Enemy markers were closing in. His people were out of time. Thousands of civilians were trapped in bunkers that wouldn't hold. The evacuation was impossible. There was nowhere left to run. "Shield barriers are gone," said an officer. "Outer Zone 5 is lost." "Is Earth still silent?" Tarlek asked. A technician shook his head. "Last signal was 10 minutes ago. Just that same short message, 'We are near.' No visuals. No contact." Some in the room began to whisper. They lied. "They're not coming. They used us and left us to die." Tarlek slammed his hand on the table. "Enough!" The room fell silent. He turned toward the others. "I don't know if Earth will come, but we are Xerians. We do not wait for others to save us. If this is our end, then we die standing." And still, far above them, the Earth fleet floated, waiting. Inside the ESS Retribution, Admiral Rourke stood silent as a countdown finished on the screen. He turned to his officers. "Is every ship in position?" "Yes, sir. Ready to strike." "And the civilians? We've located over 50 bunkers. If we attack now, we can shield most of them." Rourke gave a final nod. "Open fire. Full force. Begin Operation Thunder." The order echoed through every Earth ship. Missile bays opened, ion cannons powered up, fighter jets dropped from carriers like rain. But on the ground, no one knew. Not yet. In the Western District, Ray and her last fighters were surrounded. Veltrax's troops had them pinned. Energy blasts rained down. One soldier screamed and fell. Another crawled behind rubble. Ray aimed and fired the last shot in her rifle. The blast hit its mark, but then the weapon clicked empty. She was done. She looked at the rising smoke, at the ruins of the once beautiful city. She remembered the children hiding in bunkers. And she whispered one word: "Please." The next moment changed everything. From the sky, a beam of white light shot down like lightning. It hit the Veltrax tank just 10 meters away, melting it into dust. Then another blast. Then 5. Then 10. The Earth shook. The sound of engines roared across the planet. Ray looked up. Her eyes widened. Hundreds, maybe thousands, of human fighter ships burst through the clouds. They screamed through the air, dropping precise missiles and lighting up the sky. Behind them, giant warships floated like gods. From their sides, glowing cannons fired at enemy positions with brutal force. The ground lit up as Veltrax vehicles exploded one by one. A wide transmission echoed across all channels. "This is Admiral Rourke of the Earth Defense Fleet. All Earth allies, fall back to safe zones. Leave the enemy to us." The defenders of Zeros cried out in disbelief. Cheers broke through every bunker. Civilians looked at the sky and wept. Some simply fell to their knees and whispered thanks. Tarlek stood frozen, staring at the screen as ship after ship appeared. "By the stars," he breathed. "They came." Commander Ray blinked through the smoke. The air above her was filled with Earth jets. Dozens of them, diving and firing in perfect formation. Veltrax's troops scattered, unsure what to do. Their lines collapsed. A dropship landed beside her. The door opened, and 2 Earth Marines jumped out. "Commander Ray?" one shouted. She nodded, stunned. "Admiral Rourke sends his regards," he said. "We've got you." The Marine tossed her a new rifle and motioned to the dropship. "Get your people in. You've done enough." But Ray shook her head. "I stay. We finish this together." Above them, the Earth fleet unleashed its fury. Dozens of Veltrax warships exploded in orbit. Cities that once burned now saw fire raining down on the invaders. The message was clear. Earth had heard the call, and Earth was angry. The battle was not over, but hope was alive again. The sky over Zeros was no longer dark. It burned with light. Fire rained down from orbit as Earth's warships moved into full attack. The calm silence of space was gone, now replaced with the deep rumble of cannon fire, missiles, and the screams of engines. In just minutes, everything had changed. The Veltrax, who had believed the battle was already won, now ran for cover. Their formations broke. Their soldiers panicked. Their machines, once unstoppable, were melting under Earth's weapons. What they thought was a slow, weak enemy had become a storm. From orbit, the ESS Retribution led the attack. Admiral Rourke stood at the command deck, watching as the map filled with red targets blinking out, destroyed one by one. He didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. His voice remained cold. "Target remaining capital ships," he ordered. "I want their command gone in the next 10 minutes. "Aye, sir." Another officer looked up. "We're receiving thousands of signals from the ground. Civilians, soldiers, bunker teams, all reporting live positions." "Good," Rourke replied. "Send drones to shield the civilians. Clear paths for medical evac. No more deaths today." Down. Below, in the city ruins, Commander Ray watched the sky in awe. She and her fighters had taken shelter behind a crashed transport, waiting for what they thought would be their last stand. Now, Earth ships were flying low, clearing enemy zones with perfect precision. Human gunships fired plasma bolts that cut straight through Veltrax tanks. One Veltrax squad tried to regroup near an old power station. They didn't last 5 seconds. A rail cannon blast from orbit turned the area into fire and dust. Ray stood, slowly, eyes wide. "It's like they're tearing the sky open," her second-in-command whispered. Ray nodded. "That's Earth. When they fight, they don't hold back." In the Veltrax mothership, orbiting on the edge of the system, panic spread through the command center. Alarms blared. Commanders shouted in their own language. Where did they come from? How did they enter undetected? They weren't supposed to respond. Earth doesn't interfere anymore. But Earth had interfered, and now it was too late to run. The Veltrax commander, a tall figure with metal implants and deep red eyes, slammed his clawed hand on the table. "They waited for us to get comfortable," he growled. "They watched. They let us think we were winning." One of his officers turned. "What now?" The commander stared at the screen as ship after ship fell to Earth's weapons. "We made a mistake. On the surface, Earth Marines were landing in waves. Their armor glowed. Their weapons were advanced beyond anything Zeros had ever seen. They moved with deadly skill, rescuing civilians, treating the wounded, and hunting Veltrax with brutal force. One Marine group entered a bunker full of trapped children. Their sergeant, a tall woman with a kind face, knelt down. "We're here now," she said softly. "You're safe." The children stared in silence. Then one asked, "Are you from Earth?" She nodded, and the bunker exploded in cheers. Across the battlefield, hope spread like fire. General Tarlex stood at the center of the underground command room, watching feeds from across the city. Veltrax were retreating. Their ships were falling. Shiros was holding. He turned to a technician. "Can we send a message to Earth Fleet?" "Yes, sir." He nodded. "Then do it. Send them our thanks, all of us." Back in the sky, the ESS Retribution received the signal. Admiral Rourke read the simple message on his screen. From Zeros. "We live because of you." He said nothing, but his eyes softened. Then he turned back to the battle. "Begin ground sweep. I want every last Veltrax off that planet." Across the planet, Earth's fury continued. Strike drones hunted enemies with pinpoint accuracy. Missiles destroyed enemy command posts. Sniper teams landed behind enemy lines and ended the fight before. It could begin. Veltrax soldiers dropped their weapons. Some tried to surrender, others simply fled into the mountains, but there was nowhere left to hide. In one final moment, Earth Fleet launched a full orbital barrage. Giant beams of energy lit the sky. Cities once taken by Veltrax were wiped clean, each strike careful to avoid civilians, but deadly to invaders. The planet trembled. Then, silence. No more shots, no more screams, just silence. And from the ruins, life slowly began to return. Ray stood on the rooftop of a shattered building, looking at the sunrise. The smoke had begun to clear. In the distance, Earth med ships floated through the city, helping the wounded. She held her helmet in her hands. "They really came," she whispered. Her second-in-command stepped beside her. "They came because of you," he said, "because you never stopped sending signals." "No," she replied. "They came because Earth doesn't forget." And far above, Admiral Rourke gave his final order for the day. Transmit a message to the Veltrax High Command. Simple and clear. "What should we say, sir?" Rourke's voice was calm. "This is what happens when you touch our people." The galaxy watched in silence. The fall of Veltrax forces on Zeros had shocked every species. No one believed Earth would fight again, not like this. For years, humans had stayed quiet, rebuilding, watching. Many thought they were broken after the last galactic war. But now, every power in the galaxy had one question in mind. What will Earth do next? The answer came quickly. Just 3 days after reclaiming Zeros, the Earth Defense Fleet turned its full attention to the Veltrax home system. They didn't wait for permission. They didn't send threats. They simply moved. Thousands of ships left. Orbit. Sleek destroyers, massive carriers, stealth units, and orbital platforms. More kept arriving each hour. It wasn't just a fleet anymore. It was an army. Inside the ESS Retribution, Admiral Rourke stood in front of a large map showing the Veltrax system. Red circles marked every known enemy base, factory, and orbital station. He turned to his officers. "Begin Operation Reckoning." "Aye, sir." They entered the enemy's territory at light speed. No hesitation, no fear. When they arrived, the Veltrax system lit up in alarms. Their defense networks activated. Their fleets scrambled to respond, but it was too late. Earth's ships were already inside the outer rings, and Earth didn't come for peace. The first battle began near Veltrax Prime's mining moon. 3 Veltrax battlecruisers moved in to intercept Earth's front line. They never got close. Earth's long-range cannons tore through their shields like paper. The wreckage floated in silence. One Veltrax officer sent a message to Earth. "You have made your point. Leave our system now." Admiral Rourke replied, with one line. "We haven't made our point yet." Then Earth's forces began the full assault. Dozens of strike teams dropped onto Veltrax military moons. Marines landed at high speed, broke through bases, disabled weapon platforms, and planted Earth's flag in every corner. They didn't kill civilians. They didn't destroy homes. But they made one thing very clear. No more invasions. No more silence. The Veltrax leadership held an emergency meeting in their capital, deep underground on Veltrax Prime. The council was in panic. They had never seen humans like this. Not so fast, not so focused, not so angry. One elder said, "We must beg for peace." Another said, "We must launch all ships and fight to the last." But their leader, High Commander Crate, said nothing. He watched the live footage as Earth drones flew over their cities, scanning, not firing, watching everything. "They want us to understand," he finally said. "Understand what?" another asked. Crate's voice was low. "That we made a mistake." In the darkness of space, Earth Fleet's ships surrounded the Veltrax system. They didn't fire on cities. They didn't destroy civilian satellites. But they shut down every military channel. They blocked every warship from leaving orbit. No ship moved without permission. Back on Zeros, Commander Ray stood beside General Tarlek at the rebuilt command tower. They watched the live feed from Earth Fleet. The people of Zeros cheered as they saw the once mighty Veltrax being cornered. Like animals, Tarlek crossed his arms. I never thought I'd live to see Veltrax fall, Ray nodded. They wanted a fight. Earth brought the fire. Inside the ESS Retribution, Admiral Rourke stared at the Veltrax capital on his main screen. No weapons were pointed at it. Not yet. But the message was already clear. We are not your prey. The next morning, Earth Fleet sent one final transmission across the galaxy. It was not loud. It was not long. It simply said, Earth stands. Earth watches. If you strike, we strike harder. Every species heard it. Every government listened. Some feared it. Others cheered. And the Veltrax? They surrendered. No terms, no talks, just silence. The Earth Fleet didn't celebrate. They didn't raise banners or play songs. They didn't need to. Their silence was louder than any speech. Their actions spoke for them, and in that silence, the galaxy changed. The Veltrax were not destroyed. Earth didn't burn their cities or poison their air. But they were humbled, stripped of power, left with a memory they would never forget. Memory of a planet they thought was finished, a planet called Earth, a people they underestimated, a people who answered with fury. The war was over. The galaxy, once full of noise, explosions, screams, and cries for help, now floated in a quiet, calm. The Veltrax Empire had surrendered. They signed a full ceasefire and promised never to cross into Allied space again. Their war fleets were disarmed, their weapons dismantled. Earth had not destroyed them, but they would never forget what had happened. Across the stars, news spread. Like fire, Earth returns. The sleeping giant wakes. One fleet changed everything. At first, the other species watched in silence. Some were scared, some were amazed, but most were shocked. Earth had done what no one thought possible. They had defended another planet, not because of power, not for territory, but because it was the right thing to do, and they didn't stop there. Earth helped rebuild Zeros. Thousands of engineers, doctors, and aid workers arrived after the fleet. They cleared rubble, repaired hospitals, brought food, medicine, and technology. Cities rose again from the ashes. Commander Ray stood at the edge of one such city, watching the sunrise with General Tarlek. Children played in the streets, behind them. People smiled again. It still doesn't feel real, Tarlek said. Ray nodded slowly. I thought we'd all die. I didn't expect to see another sky. And Earth? He asked. She smiled faintly. They didn't just fight, they stayed. Far above them, Earth's ships still guarded the space lanes, not to dominate, but to protect. One warship always remained in orbit over Zeros, the ESS Retribution. It became a symbol, not of fear, but of hope. Inside that ship, Admiral Rourke stared out at the stars. His hands were behind his back, his uniform neat. He didn't speak much these days. He had seen too many battles, too much loss. But in this moment, he allowed himself a breath of peace. A young officer entered the bridge. Sir, she said, all sectors report clear. No threats? He nodded. And the Veltrax? They've begun rebuilding. Quietly, carefully. Our diplomats say they're changed. Rourke raised an eyebrow. Changed? The officer nodded. They've started sending help to smaller colonies, medical ships, food, even offered to help repair what they broke. Rourke didn't smile, but his voice softened. Let's hope. They mean it. Then he turned to the stars. Transmit one last message, he said. To who, sir? To everyone. The officer waited, and he spoke slowly. To those who watch the stars. Earth is not your enemy, but we are not weak. We remember. And when the darkness comes, we will stand. For us, for you, for peace. The message echoed through space. Simple, strong, final. And it was remembered. 100 years later, the galaxy still spoke of it. Children learned about the Battle of Zeros in schools. Historians called it the turning point of a broken era. Poets wrote verses about the fire that fell from the sky. Survivors told stories of the day Earth returned, not with fear, but with fury and honor. In time, Earth became more than just a planet. It became a symbol, not of war, but of a promise. That there would always be someone who would answer the call. Even if it seemed no one was listening. Even if the night felt endless. Because when all hope seemed lost, one human warship changed. Everything and the stars remembered.